So let's talk about the chakras real quick. The word chakra comes from the Sanskrit word for wheel, and thus the chakras are the wheels of life. And as long as these chakras, the chakras, continue to spin, so too does life and its many expressions persist. Now, there are primarily 7 chakras, and as the word chakra can also be translated as energy centers, if what I'm saying. Really, there are a variety of different chakras, but the primary chakras are 7. Just as in nature, we see 7 colors, 7 musical tones, 7 planetary energies, etc., etc. 7, it's a number that deals with completion and harmony. 7, 9, and 10, these are all numbers that deal with completion and harmony, but very much in different ways, of course. Now, as I consider myself, somewhat of a scientist, I'm really an occultist, right? And the primary difference between mystics, occultists, and scientists is that mystics typically tend to draw from fantasy, draw from their imagination and from their mind, and believe in certain things where they don't really need concrete reason or evidence to justify the belief. But in a sense, a mystic can kind of pull from their imagination, is what I'm saying. But then the thing about the scientist is they, in a sense, restrict their awareness and understanding to only the 5 senses and reason. So a scientist doesn't really go beyond what is tangible. Meanwhile, a mystic disregards what is tangible and kind of upholds all that is fantasy, and that's not to say that there isn't validity and concreteness within being a mystic. That's most definitely of value, but essentially the occultist kind of pulls from both worlds, both from the world of fantasy or the world of spirituality, but simultaneously from the world of concreteness, right, of reality. And so for me, that's kind of where I like to stay, you feel me? And I believe that within all knowledge there should be a practical sense. And this really ties back to the fact that knowledge in of itself is not power, but it's the application of knowledge that's power. And so I always find it very important to present knowledge in a practical way, in an applicable way. And so with that being said, essentially the chakras, we can think of them in a manner of them kind of signifying different energy centers within our minds, within our beings, that deal with the different departments of life, you feel what I'm saying? And they are responsible for storing certain information. The root chakra stores certain information, you feel what I'm saying? The sacral chakra, etc., etc. And we'll get more into what the chakras individually signify. But it kind of ties into, the holographic universe theory, for instance, right? Which states that everything around us, in a sense, is taking place inside of us, and we are but projecting a reality. Reality is but a hologram that's being projected from our minds. And so every single chakra kind of contributes to that projection. It's like a disk of information. It signifies our programming, you feel what I'm saying? And so being wheels, right, a wheel spins. And so the thing with the chakras is they at times may not, for lack of a better term, fluently spin, you know, in the sense that sometimes they may be still or spin really, really slow. At other times, even spin in reverse. So in other words, at times, you know, the chakras can be overly stimulated. And then in other times, they can be underly stimulated. But both of those extremes are of an imbalance, you feel what I'm saying? So it's of great importance for us to learn to have equilibrium within all the chakras, right? As most of us spiritualists like to say, it's a value to have all 7 chakras lit, you feel what I'm saying? But yeah. Now, my favorite way to like teach information is through the law of association, you feel me? And so we are going to be looking at the chakras from the perspective of how it is that they associate with each other. So we're going to be breaking the 7 chakras into 2 pairs, right? And then there's going to be one chakra that kind of doesn't correlate with another, but more so correlates with all of the chakras. It like brings them together, and that's the heart chakra. But the first chakra, you know, first to discuss is the root chakra, right? And now the root chakra, it in a sense deals with our physical identity. It deals with the body. It deals with our health. It deals with our possession. It deals with our money, wealth, you know, things like that. If we were to associate, well, not even associated, but its associated element is earth. You feel what I'm saying? So it's very earthy, very practical, very grounded. And it deals with things like acquiring things, having money, feeling like you deserve to be in this physical existence, feeling like you're worthy of accumulating stuff, right? Whether that's shelter, money, whatever, you feel me? And it ultimately deals with our lowest like needs, right? And that's like need for food, for shelter, for safety, things like that. So that's the root chakra. Now, the root chakra corresponds with the crown chakra. You feel me? They're in a sense polarities. Whereas the root chakra deals with the physical body, the crown chakra deals with eternity, right? Infinity, in the sense that when discussing the root chakra, it is considered it's considered to have an infinite amount of petals, right? Many say 1,000 petals, but it's really a multitude of petals. And so its infinity kind of deals with, so the physical deals with the finite reality. It deals with us as a unit, right? Us as an individual person. The I am is the key phrase for the root chakra. But as far as the crown chakra, it kind of deals with our divine aspect, you feel me? It deals with not even who we are, but it deals with like God. And it's like that aspect of us that connects us to the infinite all, you feel me? It's that aspect of us that in a sense helps us become aware of our infinite nature. You know, in a handful of religions, there's this ideology and belief that like God is within us, right? And so when we tap into that infinite consciousness, that's like our crown chakra. Yeah, so the crown chakra, it's like you know, I think I'll leave it at that. It's that aspect of us that's like divine, and whenever we get into our quote-unquote God body, we are tapped into our crown chakra. But yeah, you know, that's like the root chakra and the crown chakra. They're very much polar opposites, but yet they correlate and correspond with each other. It's kind of like spirit and matter, you feel me? And now to discuss the sacral chakra and the third eye. So the sacral chakra is above the root chakra, and whereas the root chakra was associated with the earth element, the sacral chakra is more so associated with the water element, right? And this chakra, it very much corresponds and deals with our emotional body. And emotions universally in occultism are associated with the water element. So with the sacral chakra, it deals a lot with how our feelings, our emotions, and it also deals a lot with our sexuality, our expression of creativity, you know, because sexual energy is very much creative energy in the sense that it's reproductive energy, right? We can reproduce physically, you know, through having babies, offsprings, but we can also, in a sense, reproduce through our art, you feel what I'm saying, through our music, etc., etc. But very much that's what the sacral chakra is. And it also deals a lot with pleasure, right? How we enjoy ourselves, how we indulge in pleasure. And in a sense, because it deals with liquid, it kind of deals with motion and movement as well, you know. And in many ways we can say it deals with dance. But yeah, you know, for the most part though, that's the sacral chakra. And so I think it's probably a value for me to also talk about the colors, right? So previously the root chakra, it's red, right? And red is the most primal color. It's like the most like animalistic color, you know what I'm saying? And then the sacral chakra is orange, you feel me? And correlating with the sacral chakra is the third eye. Now, the thing with the third eye and the sacral chakra is, it's pretty interesting because our emotional body, in a sense, is very spiritual, in the sense that emotions have a tendency of like molding and nurturing things, you feel me? And I guess a good example is like a plant. If you, alongside watering a plant, if you metaphysically, right, water a plant through your emotions, and you give one plant happiness and positivity, it's likely to grow better than the plant that you feed negativity, anger, and things like that. But ultimately, the emotions deal a lot with sensitivity, but our emotions have a great deal in molding our reality, you feel what I'm saying? And it's interesting I'm talking about, in a sense, manifestation, because I was just talking on how, you know, the sacral chakra deals with creativity. Now, the third eye, it's considered like it's associated with gland, it's the pineal gland, you feel what I'm saying? And it's associated with the pineal gland, and it's considered to be like the seat of the soul. As far as archetypes are concerned, you know, like the archetype or the body that the third eye is said to take is like the soul, you feel me? And I think this is a good segue into discussing the fact that in the sense that we have physical senses, we also have spiritual senses. And that's like, just as we can see with our senses physically, we can also see spiritually, you know. We can close our eyes, but we can still see. We can be void of physical noise, but we can still hear, you know, etc., etc. So there are senses beyond the physical. And the beauty of those senses beyond the physical is they, in a sense, are capable of having larger perceptions, like further perceptions, you feel me? It's kind of like our spiritual senses are on an elevated building, right? But then our physical senses are on the ground. And we are only able to see linearly, you feel me? In the sense of seeing the things that are around us. But then our spiritual senses kind of have the advantage of our vantage view, but because they're on an elevated plane, they have an ability to see beyond, you feel me? And that's like the third eye. It very much deals with like really all of the psychic senses, like clairaudience, clairsentience, clairvoyance, etc. But yeah, you know, so it's very valuable to cultivate your psychic senses. And there is this common misunderstanding that you are unique or special if you have psychic senses, or you need to be unique and special to have psychic senses. But in reality, we all have senses, spiritual senses and physical senses. But a lot of us, we rely so much upon our physical senses to have like our spiritual senses like reliable enough. You feel what I'm saying? It's like we have spent a lifetime developing, a great amount of time developing our physical senses. You feel me? And so we also, in a sense, abandoned our spiritual senses. So once we start to take advantage of certain exercises that, in a sense, like repress physical senses, right? That restrict our eyes or our hearing, then like all the energy that would usually go through expressing through our physical senses, in a sense, gets directed towards our spiritual senses. But that's a whole nother story. But yeah, you know, so that's like the third eye and the crown chakra. My bad, the third eye and the sacral chakra. Now let's get into the solar plexus and the throat chakra. So the primary association between the sacral chakra and the third eye is they both deal with like sensitivity, feeling sensitive things. The sacral chakra dealing more so with our emotions that are somewhat more primitive, closer to our body. Meanwhile, the third eye deals with our psychic senses, right? Our spiritual senses. Now, the solar plexus and the throat chakra. So, the solar plexus, in a sense, is the seat of action and activity. It deals a lot with our self-esteem, our self-confidence, our ego even. And it deals a lot with action, activity, in a sense of our willingness to want to go towards something, our aggressiveness towards our goals, you feel me, our ambitiousness. Those are all solar plexus energy, you feel me? Meanwhile, the throat chakra, it deals with how we articulate ourselves, how we express ourselves, how we communicate. And so ultimately, both the sacral chakra, I meant to say the solar plexus and the throat chakra, they both deal with action and getting things done. As I'm corresponding these chakras, keep in mind, they're doing the same thing, but just in lower and higher octaves, in the sense that the root chakra does the same thing that the crown chakra does, but the root chakra does what the crown chakra does on a lower active, in the sense that the root chakra is our physical groundedness, our identity within the physical realm. Meanwhile, the crown chakra connects us and kind of gives us a universal identification with something larger than us, something greater than us, right? And then the sacral chakra kind of gives us that intuitive ability to sense things through our emotions. Meanwhile, the third eye kind of gives us a clairvoyant perception. And so the thing about intuition is, because our intuition a lot of the times deal with something around the physical world, when intuition was more common, it was identified as a physical sense, because a lot of the times our intuitions deal with physical reality, you feel what I'm saying? So it's like a sixth sense that is of the body. Now, when I say intuition is like a part of the physical senses rather than the psychic senses, what I mean is, typically where intuition is involved, we are like interpreting things dealing with our physical environment, you feel what I'm saying? Rather than interpreting those vibrations through one of the commonly recognized senses, whether that's hearing, seeing, smelling, etc. Intuition is like not really a sense that's recognized to come through the five senses, but it's kind of more of like a download, you feel what I'm saying? And so I very much strongly believe that like our intuitive ability has a lot to do with our electromagnetic field, you feel me? In the sense that we all have an electromagnetic field. Our heart emits the strongest and the greatest ranging electromagnetic field. But our brain also has its own unique electromagnetic field. And essentially, through our electromagnetic fields, we in a sense have an ability of like, you can even say telepathy. It's like when one electromagnetic field interacts with another electromagnetic field, then they exchange information it's kind of like a radio signal, you feel what I'm saying? And when we are receiving information through our intuition, it's kind of like picking information up through like an antenna, if that makes sense. And this all may sound like very intangible, but it's very based on concrete scientific reality, you feel me? Like one thing, for example, that I'm greatly convinced upon is there is a like technology has advanced to the point where it can pick up on our own thoughts, because our thoughts are electromagnetic frequencies, you feel me? And this theory, quote unquote, is going to get stranger and stranger as artificial intelligence advances, you feel me? There's already talk of AI programs that are capable of reading our thoughts, you feel me? But the reason for that is because our thoughts are nothing more but electrical signals, and our intuition is kind of a higher sense that more so deals with electromagnetic fields. But that's like the primarily, my bad, that's like the primarily difference, you feel me, between the sacral chakra, which deals with our emotional body, and it kind of deals with our intuition and just picking things up from an emotional standpoint, like impulse even. Meanwhile, the third eye, which deals with clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairsentience, cognitive, I forget the term, but it's yeah, the term is really escaping me at the moment, but it's something cognizance, you know, and it deals with like being able to tap into time and perceiving the future. And you know, interesting thing about psychic senses is way back in like the 1980s, like before World War II, I think it was, like universities were exploring psychic senses, and they were conducting experiments within like laboratory, you feel me, that dealt with measuring psychic senses from a scientific perspective. And it all ultimately boils down to electromagnetic energy, you feel me? But I don't want to get too deep into this, but I'll leave it at this. Like, for example, when people are having a seance, right? Typically you need a group of people. You know, like 5, 6, 7, 4, 3 even, sometimes 2 is even enough people, because people, when they congregate, they create an electromagnetic field, and it's stronger. And those entities, right, that don't have a physical body use our electromagnetic field to, in a sense, manipulate things, or even just build rapport with us, right? Like I said, I don't really want to get into this right now because that's a whole different train of thought, you feel me? But anyways, that's like the sacral chakra and the third eye. Now, as far as the throat chakra and the solar plexus is concerned, right? The throat chakra and the solar plexus, these chakras deal with so they both deal with action ultimately. The throat chakra deals with action, but from a perspective of thought. Like the word is an extension of thought, if you know what I'm saying. Meanwhile, the solar plexus deals with action, but more so from a physical perspective, from like us exerting our will, our ego, you feel me? Us, like our aggression, you feel me? Us being aggressive, things like that. So both channels are doing the same thing, but in different octaves. You can get things done through your solar plexus, and that's whether it be making demands and commands upon other people, you know, telling people, and even using force, because like the solar plexus is more physical, using force to get things done, right? That's one way to get things done, like getting up and actually doing something, expressing your energy that way. But then the throat chakra is getting things done through a communicative method, you feel what I'm saying? Like talking, and being very articulate, even possibly, and being able to get things done, like asking for a cup of water is an example. You ask, and then water comes to you, you feel me? So I hope that makes sense. But ultimately, you know, the two do vary, but they are very similar in regards to how they express, or what they express around. Now, the last thing to discuss is the heart chakra. So the heart chakra is a chakra that deals with equilibrium. It deals with balance. It deals with harmony. It is the chakra that's in the center. The solar plexus, sacral chakra, and root chakra are the three lower chakras, and these are the yellow, orange, and red. Sacral chakra, solar plexus is the yellow, sacral the orange, and the root chakra the red. Meanwhile, the throat chakra, the third eye, and the crown chakra are the higher octaves of energy, if you know what I'm saying. The throat chakra is blue, you feel me, the color blue. The third eye is violet or indigo. And then the crown chakra is purple. So violet and purple have a similar hue. Yeah, violet is a purplish blue, you feel me? Like violet is purple but more blue, but then purple is purple, you feel me? I hope that makes sense. But yeah, that's pretty much the chakras. And as far as the heart chakra is concerned, it is the chakra that deals with connection, you feel me? It is it's also like the crown chakra, a universal chakra, in the sense that it connects us to all life. It connects us to life amongst the physical realm, but also the spiritual realm, you feel me? And it deals with like our ability to show, compassion, empathy, love, and caring. And it's through the heart chakra that we are able to connect with all life forms, you feel me? The heart chakra, in a sense, is a unifying chakra, energy center. And it's no coincidence that the heart chakra and the throat chakra are so close, because both the heart chakra and the throat chakra, in a sense, deal with communication. But you can say the heart chakra's form of communication is more emotion-based, you feel me? Meanwhile, the throat chakra is more rational and logical-based. But ultimately, for instance, when you are attempting to communicate with an animal, an insect even, or a plant, you don't per se establish rapport and communication with said insect, plant, or animal through your physical words or your brain, but you more so do it through your heart chakra or your emotions or your soul. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, that pretty much concludes like this video breakdown, and it goes a lot deeper. It goes way deeper. But this is kind of a sum of it all. Now, before I forget to mention, the heart chakra's color is green, you feel me? But yeah, that's pretty much that. And like I said earlier, the best way to use this knowledge is kind of to self-reflect and introspect. While in introspection, kind of view yourself or introspect through a manner that deals with like viewing your chakras and then understanding how you associate with those energies. So viewing like the root chakra and understanding how you associate with your body, with your health, with physical possessions, with money. Viewing your sacral chakra and gaining a clarity upon your emotional body, your relationship with your sexuality, your relationship with just pleasure in general. And then also, tapping in and looking into your solar plexus and gaining a better understanding of your relationship with your own power, with your own confidence. And with the solar plexus, we live in a world where from a young age, like, our power is stripped away from us. We are continuously bombarded by authorities, telling us from a young age that we can't do this or that without getting permission. You gotta raise your hand. This, the third, the fourth. So the thing with the sacral chakra, that's my sister. Anyways, the thing with the sacral chakra, solar plexus, is there is a tremendous amount of healing that needs to go into it. You feel me? A tremendous amount of recovering one's confidence, one's self-esteem, one's self-belief. You feel me? Because our sacral chakra, our solar plexus, I mean to say. So as I was saying, before, like, all the background noise just decided to, in a concentrated matter, just all come at once. The solar plexus, it's important to really dive into and introspect and reflect. And with the heart chakra, it's all about connectivity and gaining awareness of how connected you feel amongst those around you, amongst your family members, amongst nature, you feel what I'm saying? And see, a lot of us, it's like with the chakras, you know, it's all about becoming a whole individual, you feel what I'm saying? And it's all about cultivating all those different energies. And so for me, as an astrologer, you feel me? I'm really an occultist, but one of my awarenesses encompasses astrology. I look at energy from planetary perspective. So even the chakras, I correlate them with planets, you feel me? And sure, the moon is not really a planet, more of a satellite, but in astrology it's considered a planet. Like when we're talking about the heart chakra, we're very much dealing with like the energy of the moon, you feel what I'm saying? And when we're dealing with astrology, for me, because I'm an occultist, astrology is the tool I use, you feel me? So I only utilize my title as astrologer to emphasize that I have a great awareness of astrology, but I don't really feel comfortable stating that I'm an astrologer because I'm so much more than that, you feel what I'm saying? And it's kind of a label that restricts my abilities. So beyond astrology, there's alchemy, but astrology is like a tree and alchemy is like a branch of that tree, and so is esoteric psychology. But that aside, so within alchemy, the metals are all needed, and so essentially the point of alchemy is to make gold, you feel what I'm saying? But in mental alchemy and spiritual alchemy, the point is more so to create like spiritual and mental gold. But don't get me wrong, ancient alchemists, what they aspire to do with transforming base metals into gold, chemists today do in the lab, you feel what I'm saying? Like chemists have altered chemicals, atoms, right, by presenting extreme heat and thus altering like the atomic structure of copper, etc., and transforming one metal into another metal, all the way to the point where with all these tools we have today, we can make gold from base metals by influencing the structure of an atom, whether that's adding more protons, electrons, and neutrons to an atom, or taking away electrons and neutrons and protons from an atom. But the point is, even that ideology of alchemy, it's real and it exists, you feel what I'm saying? And it's continuously expressed within the chemist's lab. But that's aside the point. So, yeah. And for me, on my journey towards creating spiritual alchemy, because see, spiritual alchemy, I'll save it for a whole other video. Creating spiritual gold, and I'll save that for a whole other video because that's deep. But the point is, I need to cultivate all of the different metals, which can correspond with the different chakras, right? Because there are 7 planetary energies. Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto are higher octaves. Neptune, the higher octave of Venus. Pluto is the higher octave of the moon, and then Uranus is the higher octave of Mercury. You feel me? There's only 7 metals, 7 planets, 7 colors, 7 musical tones, etc. Well, 7 planetary energies, because there's 10, but then the extra 3, you get what I mean. Well, that pretty much concludes it for this video, you guys. And if anyone is interested in tapping in for a free discovery call, right, where you ultimately tap in with me and I demonstrate and explain to you my certain services, and we go on to talk about your specific goals and your specific needs, and we get down to the question of if working with me is even the right fit. You feel me? All of that is encompassed within that free discovery session that I offer. And within the free discovery session, I kind of do give sample versions of my services, to, I guess, tease you. But yeah, there's definitely an offer that I advise everyone to take advantage of. Yeah, for sure. But if you know within yourself that working with me probably wouldn't be a good fit, then please, by all means, don't even tap in. You feel me? Because within the reading, the session, that is one thing we get to the bottom of. If your goals align with my services, even, you feel what I'm saying? But yeah, I would say that pretty much concludes this breakdown of the chakras. There's so many different ways to look at the chakras, but this was one of the ways that I felt I should begin with. But if I was looking at them individually, then I would have went deeper, you feel me? But for now, I think this is good enough. Anyways, peace, namaste.